Okay, great. Welcome, Minnetonka. Glad to have you here at this College Forum program featuring graduates of Minnetonka High School, class of 2022. We're so glad to have you guys here today. Students, we're going to have our panelists introduce themselves to you. They'll tell you their name, the college or university they attend, where that college or university is located, and then how many students go to that college. And we'll start with Bo.
I'm Bo Osheim. I go to the University of Colorado Boulder, in Boulder, Colorado, and there's around like 35,000 undergrad.
Hi, I'm Madison Andrews. I go to Baylor University down in Waco, Texas, and there's approximately, I think he said 15,000 undergrads this year.
Hi, I'm Abby Hoekstra. I go to Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana, and there's about 45,000 students.
My name is Sam Huso. I go to Texas Christian University in Fort Worth, Texas, and there's about 10,000 students.
I'm Maddie Prawley. I go to St. Olaf College in Northfield, Minnesota, and there are about 3,400 students.
I'm William Richmond. I go to Iowa State University in Ames, Iowa. There are about 30,000 students.
I have two microphones. Score. I'm Scott Sorensen. I go to Dartmouth in New Hampshire, and 6,000, I want to say.
I'll just take one.
Yeah.
My name is Greta Weeks. I go to Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana, and there's about 40,000 students.
I'm Molly Welch. I go to Boston College in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, and we've got 10,000 undergrads.
I'm Jack Wary. I go to the University of Wisconsin-Madison in Madison, Wisconsin, and we've got like 35,000 undergrads.
Okay, panelists, we're going to ask you to share a few things about your first semester in college or university. So if you can go back here to this semester that you've just finished or you're just about to. We have two students on the panel who still have a final exam to take. Okay, can you tell us, please, in the semester, like 5 days in the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, did you have class every day? Did you have class on some days but not others? How many classes were you taking this last semester? And then, what was your favorite? Okay, so just give us a little landscape here. We'll go right back to Jack.
All right, so my schedule was really different every day of the week. I had Monday with one class and then Friday with only two classes. So if I had like laundry or needed to go shopping or something, I would do that on Monday or Friday afternoons, which was actually really nice to have some time during the week. And I took a total of 6 classes, but only 3 of them were like actual classes, and the other 3 were like little seminar things. One of them was like building your career. One of them was just like getting acclimated to the university. And then of my 3 major classes, the one that I liked the most was actually math, and I did Calc 1 again. I had already done it in high school, but doing it again, I felt like I really solidified the concepts, and I had a great professor, and I really kind of developed some confidence in it that I didn't have when I was doing it in high school, and that was really nice for me.
So I took 4 classes this semester, but one of them was something that BC has called a complex problems class, which is basically like 2 classes rolled into one, so it's worth 6 credits as opposed to the other ones being worth 3. So it was basically 5 classes. It's just that I only had to attend, 1 class instead of the 2 that would make it 5, And that actually ended up being my favorite class. It was an environmental science class and a sociology class rolled into one, taught by 2 professors. They were actually married. It was really cute. And it was called Global Implications of Climate Change. So that was my favorite one. My schedule, though, was, like Jack, it was very different on different days. I only had 1 class on Mondays and Wednesdays and only 2 on Fridays. And then Tuesday, Thursdays, I had 4 on Tuesday and 3 on Thursday, I think. Yeah, so similar to what Jack just said, days with no classes, I got most of my like other non-school related stuff done, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays were just like study heavy.
Yeah, I think my schedule is similar. I had, to Jack, I think I had 6 classes, so that'd be, I think it was about 3 on Monday, Wednesdays, and then Wednesday I had an additional 1 in the evening. And then Tuesday, Thursday I had 2, and then I had 1 class on Friday. And that was kind of a good balance. I think my favorite class was I took philosophy as a gen ed, and initially I had never taken philosophy before, but it turned out to be a really cool class, and I'm now doing a minor in it. So it's something I definitely have loved and enjoyed the, analytical and creative aspects of it.
I only had 3 classes because we're quirky and we have quarter system. But I had 1, 2, 3 on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I had 3 hours of class all in a row. And then all the rest of my time I had no classes. So Tuesday, Thursday was kind of homework heavy, study heavy. And I got to take a linguistics class that I really, really loved. So it was a lot of fun.
I had 6 classes, so I had class every day of the week, but every day I was done by 2. So I had a lot of open time, a lot of free time to do what I needed. And I would say my favorite class was probably a health studies class, where we got just to learn more about just health and humanity and just talk more with all of our peers.
I took 4 classes this semester. I had 1 class Tuesday, Thursday, and 3 classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I was done by 2 o'clock every day, which was nice. And my favorite class was definitely my Latin class. It's a very interesting language, and it's pretty unique.
I took 6 classes as well, and I had all mine on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So Tuesday, Thursday, I didn't have any classes, so I could do whatever I wanted. And I would say my favorite class was American and Texas Government, because it was the one class for my major.
I also took 6 classes, and I had a lot of breaks in the middle of the day because I'd start at 7:30 with my engineering class every day, which was a little bit annoying, but it got me awake and started studying, which was helpful.
I also took 6 classes, one of them being band, so that was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 hours in the evening, so I wouldn't really count that. But aside from that, I had 2 classes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday that were actual classes, and then I had 3 on Tuesday, Thursday. And I think one of my favorites was I got to take an economics class for my minor, and I really enjoyed kind of the break from my normal STEM major.
Yeah, like Madison, my Mondays and Wednesdays were pretty light with 2 classes, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays were pretty busy with 3. Will be nice for the rest of the my 4 years in business school. I won't have class on Fridays, so that'll be nice.
All right, super cool. For most students, one of the big changes that occurs when they become a college student is living on campus. So panelists, so you don't have to all answer this, but how many of you, raise your hand if your roommate situation worked out well? And raise your hand if the roommate situation was kind of like not good. Okay, wow, we're all lucky here. Okay, so not everyone has to answer this, but if you can just describe for us, what was the setting? What was your dorm residence hall like? Did you have 1 roommate, 3 roommates? Was it something where it was co-ed by floor or co-ed by room? Or just give us a little landscape about what it was like for you in the residence hall. Let's see, who wants to go first?
Yeah, so for my roommate, I went random. I ended up with this guy named Darius, and he's awesome. I love rooming with Darius. In the dorms, I'm actually in what's known as like a residence academic hall. So I have most of my classes just inside my dorm, which was nice because I had an 8 a.m. 4 days of the week that I would just walk upstairs for. What else? I think that basically covers it. Love Darius.
I looked into what's called a suite style. So we have 2 rooms connected by like a Jack and Jill bathroom. So there's 4 of us. And then I room with a girl named Georgiana. She's super nice. And then I have my 2 other suite mates are Alanis and then Lauren. And the way our dorm works is that it's also kind of like a residence academic hall, but what you have is you have the guy side, which is key locks on one side, and then the girl side on the other. So it's technically co-ed, but Baylor style, because we can't have boys and girls mixing together.
That's kind of similar to Purdue, I'd say. So I'm living in the Honors College, which is really nice dorms compared to the rest of Purdue's dorms. But we don't really do co-ed at Purdue, and so Honors South, which is where I am, is all girls, and then Honors North has the guys. And my roommate's great. We're in just a regular double room, but we have pod-style bathrooms. So like as you go down the hallway, there will be different like bathrooms. So it's not like there's just one communal bathroom on the end of the floor.
I live with 5 other guys, so there's 6 of us in one big room, which is awesome. Our dorms are co-ed too, like boys and girls live on the same floor. I live next to a bunch of girls, and then I have guys on the other side. Co-ed bathrooms, and yeah.
I currently have one roommate. I live in the freshman dorm that has the smallest rooms on campus, but it's okay. And the dorms are co-ed by floor, so I live on a girls' floor.
I live with one roommate from Minnetonka who I played football with, so it's gone pretty well. And it's an 8-floor building, and it can be co-ed, men or women.
Yeah, so I got one roommate, Ethan Greenberg. I like him. And we've got co-ed floors as well. So his girlfriend actually lives right down the hallway. That's interesting. But he... Anyways, my point being, where am I going with this? Oh, yeah. There's a guy's bathroom, a girl's bathroom, and a gender-neutral bathroom all on our floor. Shut up. So...
Let's see. So, so I'm on a co-ed floor, and I'm in the living learning community for the business school. So it's all people who applied and are in the business school and pursuing business majors, which is always interesting, but it's nice to have common interests. And as scary as it sounds to be on a co-ed floor, it's actually, there's pluses and minuses, but I think it's fun. I play Mario Kart with some guys down the hall every once in a while, so it's a good time. And I'm actually rooming with someone from high school, Kate Mindeck, if any of you guys know her. But yeah, and it's actually worked out really great for us, and so it's been a lot of fun.
So I actually live on like a satellite campus of my school, the Newton campus. I live a mile away from like where all the main academic buildings are. I take a bus to school every day. It's people don't like it, but I think it's fine. It's actually really not that bad. And it's kind of nice. I never do any work like in my room or on Newton. I do all my work on like the main campus, so it's kind of like going home after school almost, where I like don't have to think about work when I get back. My building is co-ed, but the floors are gendered, so the basement and the first floor are guys, and the second floor and the third floor are girls. I went random with my roommate, and she's totally fine. Like, we're not besties, but there's also nothing wrong with her. She's asleep basically all of the hours that I'm awake, and vice versa. So, like, we get along just fine, but don't be freaked if you're not best friends with your roommate. Our bathrooms are obviously not co-ed because our floor isn't, but you also can't get into any bathroom that's not on your floor, which is kind of obnoxious, but I guess also kind of nice because it doesn't get, like, destroyed.
I've got one random roommate who, also kind of similar to what Molly was saying, is just, like, totally different person from me, but we're respectful of each other, and it works out really well. And I'm in an 11-story building in the center of campus. It's got, like, girls and guys right next to each other, and that's not an issue. And we've got a few bathrooms on every floor that are just kind of communal, which is a bit of a thing to get used to for sure. Like, I bring all the stuff that I would shower with and a little shower caddy to the bathroom every time I take a shower, and I can't just like be leaving my stuff around. So coming home, it's really nice to kind of like have a space that's just mine, but you get used to it pretty quick, and it's a good experience to just kind of learn how to live with some other people.
Students, by the way, we've got throughout the room on some of the tables a question card. So if there's something that you wanted to ask in general or something that you wanted to ask of a specific panelist, just fill one of these out, and in a few minutes we'll ask you to raise your hand if you've got something. Here's a question here, please, panelists. So here we go, just a second. No, excuse me. We're in the middle of a presentation here. Okay. Thank you. So college is one of these opportunities where you get to try stuff. So for those who took on something new, joined a club, picked up an activity, can you share? What is it that you tried out that is for you brand new? And if you can, if you were really involved in something back here at Minnetonka High School, just share that with us, just so that we have that as a reference, okay? So what is it that you've taken on that's brand new in your first few months of college, and then can you go back with us and say something that you were really involved with here at Minnetonka? Okay, who wants to go first? Molly?
Cool. So something I did in college that was brand new is I walked onto the women's rowing team. I had never done that before in my life, and actually the only reason I went to tryouts is because I had a friend from here that was, he goes to University of Arizona and had texted me like 2 days before I got the email saying come to tryouts, being like, I live in the desert, it's terrible here, I miss it so bad, like I want to row. So I sent a screenshot to him like as a joke, and he was like, you have to go, I'm making you go to tryouts. So then I went to tryouts, and it went really well. Obviously, made the team. It's super early in the morning. Like, I wake up at 5, so that's new. And it's a D1 program, but being a walk-on that had no idea how to row, we weren't actually practicing, like, with the varsity team yet. I don't get into that until after break, so I can't really speak to, like, the true student-athlete experience. But with the 4 other girls that I have been practicing with and everything, I would say it's been really fun. Huge learning curve, but definitely I think something that I'm gonna stick with. In high school, I would say I was very involved in both soccer and debate. So rowing, very different from debate, like semi-ish similar to soccer in that it's like a sport and there's a team.
Yeah, so I think in high school I ran cross country and then Nordic skied in the winter and then ran track and field in the spring. So I was always really active in athletics, and I also was in student government my senior year, and was involved in some other clubs and organizations around the high school. And I think for me, athletics, I knew I wanted to continue. So similar to Molly, I walked on to Indiana's rowing team actually the first month, and then I did walk off a month later. So kudos to her. It's a really hard sport for any of you guys who rowed before. It is impressive. And I think just for me, the time commitment didn't justify like what I was able to do at that point. So, but yeah, did that, tried that out. I also do the run club now at the school, so I'm able to kind of continue my interest in running on kind of a lower level, which is good. And I also rushed and pledged a business fraternity as well. So that's been something that's been really fun and additive to my college experience. But yeah.
I did a lot of. I was a cross-country skier. I did the poetry club. I was very like the literary magazine kind of stuff. I liked that. And then like Greta, I was in a lot of the cross-country stuff. And at college, I got into the satire magazine, the Jack-O-Lantern, and that has been super, super fun. Very smart, very funny people. I got into the Comedy Network, and they put on, so they do skits, like sketches and stuff on YouTube, and they also do open mic stand-up comedy, and that was great. And I also, at one point, somebody pitched a sketch about like frogs, and so we got government-funded frog suits from the college, which was sick. So yeah, I've had a lot of fun with that. And then I'm going to be doing biathlon this winter, so shooting and skiing. I have not done that before. That'll be really interesting.
So in high school, I was pretty involved with football and the Principal's Advisory Council. And then now in college, I'm in a club called Best Buddies, where you get paired with someone who has a mental disability, and you just hang out with them, so that's been really fun. And then I'm also really involved in something called the Salt Company, which is a college ministry.
I would say something new that I started was playing beach volleyball. Can't really do that much here. And then I also joined a fraternity, which was different.
Here I was involved in cross country and track, and as well as golf, and I joined the run club at college, and then I'm also involved in the Women in Engineering program, which deals with like outreach into the community and trying to get more girls involved in engineering.
Here I was involved in marching band and then cross country skiing in the winter and then golf in the spring. And at college, I did rock climb a little bit when I was a kid, but I really got involved with their rock climbing team, and that's been such a great time, good people all around. And then I did keep going with marching band in college.
Here I was pretty involved with the Vantage program along with First Mates. In college, I joined a fraternity, and like Maddie, I've been rock climbing a lot and camping, so both of those.
And students, if you filled out a question, just raise your hand, and my colleague, Michelle Johnson, will go around and we'll pick up something from you, okay? Hey, panelists, let's go back here. Some of you go to a campus that's pretty big. So how do you get around? Can I just have a show of hands? How many of you went to college with a car? Okay, Minnetonka students, I swear, we didn't purposefully set this up. Like, we didn't send panelists saying, did you go to college with a car? Oh, you didn't? Well, then you can be on the panel. We didn't do that, but notice we went 0 for 10, okay? How do you get around on your campus? Do you guys have, is it just all walking, or are there buses, or do you have a bicycle, or you have a longboard, or who wants to answer?
So at Madison, it's very much of a walkable campus, but we also get a winter. So with the same kind of snow and ice and everything you get here. So it's really nice to be able to take the bus to get places. And I've started to do that more as it's gotten colder. But also during the summer months, or just any time that there's not snow on the ground, there's a bike rental program where you pay $20 for an entire calendar year. So I paid through like September 2023, and they let you take out a bike from an electric bike, actually, from like any of those little stations that are around campus, and then take it to any other station and put it back, and it doesn't cost you anything more than the $20. So I took huge advantage of that over the last semester, because it's super nice to just be able to get to class that way and not have to like actually own a bike and deal with locking it up and everything. So yeah, but for the most part, it's a walkable campus, so you can walk.
I think similar to Madison, Indiana is a pretty big campus too. So if you were probably on one side of it, walking to the other side would take you about 45 minutes. It's a very spread out campus and just really big. So I think it's my modes of transportation have changed a lot. Walking is always a really good option. Definitely do a lot of walking in college, so get a good pair of shoes. I think also bus systems have been great. There's also tons of electric scooters too at our campus. Maybe not always the safest option, but is an option I used a lot during the first few weeks of school. And I did bring a bike. I would caution, I hadn't really listened to others about this, but definitely think about whether or not you'll actually use your bike, because it's really easy to use other public modes of transportation than the bike. And having to lock that up and store that is a bit of a pain. So, yeah.
Sure, I'll go. I mainly walk around my campus, but I have one pretty far class, so I just went on Facebook Marketplace and bought a bike for like $50. Great purchase if bikes get stolen at your college campus, which they do in Boulder. But there's also a free bike service. You get the app. As long as you use it in under an hour, it's free. So that's also been super helpful.
I don't know about the other campuses, but we get a lot of bikes put in trees at Purdue. It's kind of like a thing. There's a whole Instagram. And so my roommate brought her bike. I did not bring my bike. I just walk everywhere because it's never more than like a half hour to get anywhere. And so you just kind of adjust your mindset that you're going to have to walk places because there's not really parking anywhere. So even if you did have a car, it wouldn't be very easy to drive to class. And so my roommate had a bike, and she didn't ride it once until the entire semester, and it got put in a tree, and we couldn't find it. So just...
St. Olaf is a very small campus, so it takes probably 8 minutes max to walk anywhere to the other side of campus, so I just walk everywhere.
I would just say quickly that at TCU either walk or they have golf carts you can use too.
We have a couple of questions that are basically about time management. One is a question which says, did you have an on-campus job? And if yes, how many hours did you work per week? Anyone able to answer that one?
So I have what's technically an on-campus job. I run private tutoring, so I basically run my own business, but it's on campus. I set my hours, so I usually work up to 5 hours per week. And that's with either 3 to 5 students per week. So that's what I do. It's not really a big suck on my time, but I know other people who also work like a part-time job, and they just kind of figure it out, because I know my friend's starting at a coffee shop in the next year, and you plan your class load based on how much you think you'll be working that semester.
Anyone else want to comment on that? Here's a question here, because some of you have mentioned joining Greek Life. can you just tell us what's the time commitment for your fraternity or sorority, and what are some of the big philanthropy events that you're doing? Who wants to take that one?
Yeah, I'm in a fraternity. It's a lot of fun. I recommend any guy or girl to do it, whether that's a social or a business fraternity. Basically get to enter school with like a group of 30 dudes, or like 100 girls, because your guys' classes are so big. But basically like that you get to be friends with. Depending on your school, time commitment varies, but for mine, it wasn't that big of a commitment. I also like got a tutor through the fraternity, so there is academic help if you need it. Yeah, I don't know. It was an awesome time. I recommend everyone to do it. It's such a great experience. Philanthropy-wise, we work with multiple different charities, mainly with like certain like debilitating disorders like MS. So that's been pretty cool to kind of learn about how that works and how we are actually impacting them.
Okay. Here we go. I've got a mic.
Yeah, so I am in a business fraternity, which I didn't know much about before going to campus, but I highly recommend. There's a bunch of they're called like professional fraternities that are more that have like an academic focus to them. I think we're at my school. We have a really big business school that's super popular, so we have like 8 business fraternities. They're kind of like their own kind of group, but yeah, it's been a great experience. I think what's nice is that I get to have some academic benefits through it. So like, I have a really good resume now. I've like learned really good interview skills. We work with corporate partners, so then I'll get to interview with corporate partners and talk to them, and then hopefully secure internships a little more easily through some of those connections, and then just network with people who hopefully will also be good resources in the future. And there's also a lot of like fun social aspects to it too, and we do philanthropy as well. So we work with like the school's mental health resource center and kind of raise money for it. So that's been good. And then I can't speak to it yet, but I am going to be doing the sorority rush process for IU starting, and ours is actually a spring rush, so it'll start as soon as I get back to campus. And there it's about a month long every weekend, and it's a lot more. I think it's a little bit more intensive, so we'll see how that goes.
TCU, there's a lot of Greek life there for fraternity-wise. First semester or whenever you pledge takes up a lot of time, but it's great. I would recommend doing it. Philanthropy-wise, we just help a bunch of underage youth. Just go over there and hang out with them and just bring them stuff that they don't really have. We just help out with them.
This is going a different direction. Here's a question. Somebody says, what classes did you take at Minnetonka that you think have really helped you in college? Who wants to go?
So my answer to this earlier was AP Chem. Like, it's hard. It's I think Mr. Beerley said it's probably the hardest class at Minnetonka, and I don't know if that's changed, but at least when I took it, it was really hard. But it was a great experience to learn like how to study for tests, how to manage your time with like homework, and like figure out how you're going to learn this kind of stuff, because there's less support in college compared to a lot of high school things, and it's a faster pace, and that class really helped me learn just like how you do this. And then aside from that, I thought that Minnetonka research was really good just for like learning how to interact with professionals and people who did scientific research, because like when you're talking to your professors, it's a lot of the same people. And then also just like technical writing and science communication, super helpful no matter whether you're going to be in like science or business or what field you're going into. Those skills have definitely paid off for me at least.
I think probably the two that stand on my mind are Vantage, and I think Bo can talk about that a little bit more too, but that's just such a really cool opportunity because you get to work with real companies, and you can put that on your resume under like an experience section and talk about the consulting, because basically it's consulting work. And obviously it's a more basic level of it, but it definitely is still a real experience, and a lot of like student orgs that you might look into joining will kind of ask about some of that, and it's just a really good boost to have on there. I think additionally too, I took Ivy Lit in Lane my senior year, and so it was just the SL, so I didn't get any college credit for it. But I think that was actually, it was one of my favorite classes I took at Minnetonka High School. And I think it just was really great because it teaches you how to communicate clearly and like write effective papers and such. And that's something, unfortunately, you're not going to really escape writing for a while. So that's just a good skill to have.
I would say the IB diploma program has greatly improved my writing skills, and it's really been helpful for any types of writing. I haven't really had to do a lot of writing yet, but I feel very confident in my skills moving forward. So
I would say IB Sports, Exercise, and Health Science was a really beneficial class for me because I'm a physical therapy major, so it was really kind of prepping me for what I'm going to start doing in college.
I'm gonna go AP Lit and Comp with Miss Thomas. Go Miss Thomas. But kind of just the chaos of all the writing and reading and all of it at once. I had an English class my first quarter. It was a lot, and Lit and Comp kind of was an intro to that for me, so that was really good.
I think, like Jack was saying, the Minnetonka research program was really helpful, especially with talking to professors about starting research in college, because if a lot of engineering majors or other STEM majors start to get into research undergrad in college, and I think it's really helpful because it's a great resume builder, and it also is just great experience for what you'll be doing in college too.
I'd also have to say Minnetonka Research in conjunction with the IB Diploma Program, IB, because it taught me how to write. And granted, I haven't had to write anything yet, which is actually kind of rare, but I will be taking a couple of English classes as I get further into like my years at college, so that'll definitely be a big help. And then as for research, it got me into the research program / major I'm currently in at my university, so that helped, as well as technical writing, because writing a resume, knowing how to write a cover letter, knowing how to send professional emails is actually like a major skill that most people don't know coming into college, and it's super helpful if you already do know it, because then you'll be ahead of the curve with that one.
Yeah, like Greta mentioned, Vantage was definitely super helpful. A lot of the stuff I did this year, I just kind of already had done. Like there were a few big multi-point assignments regarding like LinkedIn, resume, and I submitted them without even checking it over because I knew they were solid and I knew they were reviewed. Also, AP Stats helped me a lot. Mr. Breen gave me like a solid base level amount of knowledge on Excel, which you'll be doing a lot if you're going into business of any kind.
This is sort of the same idea here, but question here about where do you go for academic support? Is it available to you?
Yeah, so mainly I'll just go to other kids in my classes. I mean, they're probably the best resource you could probably get, just because people are bound to know more than you about it, even if you haven't gone or even if you have gone. Also, as I mentioned earlier, with my fraternity, they can get you a tutor for any kind. So that was definitely, I took advantage of that, and that was super helpful.
I'm in a position where I am the academic help, but there's also a tutoring center on campus that a lot of people make use of, as well as, again, just friends in your classes. Like, I'll be taking an engineering class next semester that one of my friends from band is like, I took that class, and I can help you if you have any questions about the physics or whatever.
Yeah, I think similar to that, all the upperclassmen, like in the honors college, I'm an honors ambassador, so I get a lot of the notes from the older people that have already taken the class, which is really helpful because I still go and take my own notes, but it's nice to study someone else's too. And each program, at least at Purdue, I'm assuming it's the same as other colleges, has a tutoring center. So the engineering program has their own tutoring, and the women engineering program also has tutoring. So there's lots of options to find help. You just have to be willing to ask someone for it.
Yeah, we have office hours where you can go to the professor directly and talk with them, or we have peer tutoring, or you can just go around and ask someone. It's really not too hard to find someone who's taken the class or is in the class at some point.
One of the advantages of a small college like St. Olaf is that the sizes are really small, so the professors will know who you are and they know what you've been doing in the class so far, so it's really easy to go find help from them directly. And then we do have a really good tutoring center and student tutors that are willing to help with anything. So
For some of the more difficult courses at Iowa State, there's something called supplemental instruction. So that's just like an extra time where there's like a peer mentor who's kind of like helping teach more of the material, and there's also a big academic success center where you can have tutoring and stuff like that.
I had 3 mixed papers, and I think I went 7 times to the writing center, just because they were so helpful. Like these older English majors know exactly what they're doing. So I don't know. A lot of colleges have a writing center. I don't know about you guys, but that was great. And then I got to annoy my linguistics TA by showing up all the time. They were really smart as well.
Yeah, I think so. Remembering back to like going to this college forum the past few years when I was in high school, I think one of the biggest pieces of advice I got about this, and that's something that I remember going to school and I kind of just want to pass it on, is like, as Sam mentioned, like office hours are something that almost every professor and graduate assistant or teacher assistant offers. And it's really good to go to them because not only does it give you a chance to kind of talk to the professor one-on-one and you can get help with things, but you also can kind of build like a rapport with them, because you will need like rec letters from them for different programs you want to apply to. Like I know for the honors programs at my school, you need to have recs from the professors. And it can be really hard in like a lecture hall of like 150 kids to get to know who your professor is. So definitely going to the office hours is a good way to kind of build that relationship.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing that basically everyone has said, that going to other students is super helpful. Obviously, we have academic support centers on campus. We have our academic advising center and other places that you can get help, especially like specific to your program. But the other people in your class and upperclassmen you know that have taken the classes are like the greatest resource other than the professors. I'd repeat what Greta said about office hours and also emails. I didn't end up going to a lot of office hours this semester because they always conflicted with my other classes. Like, actually, somebody must have worked on it to make it conflict that much. But I sent a lot of emails and I always got a response, and I never got like a mean response, even when I had an 101-degree fever and like the most terrible flu of my life and sent a really incoherent email to my lab instructor. I still got the extension. But I would also say, the student athletes get access to a lot more academic support. Actually, the guy that sets up all the tutors literally put his personal phone number in my phone at our first meeting. So that's not something I've taken advantage of yet, but it's definitely like a big resource that I've heard a lot about.
Biggest thing for me, like a couple other people said, is just like get to know the people in your classes. They also want to succeed. They're also paying a lot of money to go there. And just like if you sit next to the same person a couple days in a row and you can ask for their phone number or something, now you've got somebody who can go study with outside of class. Now you've got somebody who you can ask questions to who might have another perspective. And yeah, just like being open to making those connections with other people in your class, even more than just academic help, is good to just kind of build a sea of familiar faces so that it's not like you're just alone in the world.
Okay, here's an interesting worded question. What can you tell us about the social scene at your college? Is it one party after another? Oh dear, who wants to take that one?
I mean, the biggest thing I can say at Madison is it's going to vary. Like, your experience is not going to be the same as anybody else's experience. I did not join a fraternity, so I think that is like the biggest first thing that's going to change that is do Greek life, because that's, especially with social fraternities, that's going to be a big part of it. And the thing that I found the most kind of like reassuring about parties and social life is that everybody's like, for the most part, in it for themselves, and nobody's going to pressure you to do something that you're uncomfortable with. So as long as you just kind of like know who you are and what you want to do with your life, and not let yourself, like, nobody's going to pressure you to do something that's really stupid, as long as you just kind of have that mindset that like you're your own person and they're their own person. So that's kind of helped guide me through that process.
Yeah, so unlike I think every other school on this panel, we don't have Greek life at all. So maybe I was wrong about that, but most of you guys seem to. A lot of the social stuff comes from other clubs. I know there's a music club that's actually like known for being just like very social. They like throw a lot of parties and they do a lot of events and stuff. So a lot of the things, or the social events, come out of, instead of Greek life, come out of other clubs, whether it be like hobbies or sports or academics. Like, there's something in basically every circle of interest that will end up like having a lot of events and ways for you to meet a lot of people. But there's also a good amount of like off-campus socialization that goes on. Boston is obviously like a huge college city. I have very frequently spent my weekends just like taking the train into the city and going to like a fraternity or sorority at BU or at MIT or somewhere else like that. So there's always connections that you can make like outside of school, outside of your school there too. That's like a pretty big source of social life.
Yeah, I probably would say for Indiana, it's kind of what you'd expect of a Big Ten large university. So definitely it can be pretty exciting on the weekends. I do agree. Like I think Jack, that was like the greatest sentiment ever. Like for sure. Like I will agree. Like I think because definitely different from high school where it's just like it's a bit of a bubble and everyone knows what's going on with everyone else and stuff. In college, especially at a large university, like you really can kind of choose your own path and no one else really cares or is going to intercept that or anything. And so I really think that it is whatever you want to do with it. And I've watched a lot of different my friends and people handle it differently. And I think either like everyone is always accepting of however people want to approach the social scenes at a college. But yeah, I think just like the orgs you join, I definitely think that probably the best thing is to get involved wherever you go. I know it's something that people always talk about when going to high school is to get involved. And I think that it's something to echo again for college because it's a tough transition at times, but having something where you get plugged in and meet people is the greatest way to kind of help to kind of curb some of that homesickness and stuff. So I think getting involved and you'll find you kind of start to develop your social scene out of that, I think for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, dude, I party. Okay, sorry. But I don't. There's a lot of emphasis on Greek life. I know Molly doesn't have it, but some of these schools are really big on Greek life. Dartmouth's one of them. But it's really, you're not forced to. So the outdoors club is absolutely amazing. A lot of activity goes through that. You do organizations. I have a group of just random friends I found, and we have movie nights instead of going out sometimes, and it's a lot of fun. So it's, again, kind of choose your own path. So
I would say at Iowa State, Greek life is pretty big. There are like 26 fraternities and like 16 sororities. So if that's something you want to do, you have a lot of options there. If it's not, there's clubs and other social aspects for everyone. So I would say there's definitely many people who share interests with you. So the social aspect will differ for each person.
St. Olaf also does not have sororities or fraternities and is a dry campus, so a lot of the activities are through organizations, clubs. We have a great student government that puts on a lot of events on weekends and stuff like that.
There's a lot of parties and stuff at TCU, if that's your thing. But there's also a lot of stuff on campus you can do, and if you just want to stay in, there's plenty of stuff to do inside or within the dorm as well, if partying's not really your thing.
Yeah, I think going along with that, there's not a lot to do in West Lafayette, Indiana, besides do things with the college. And I think Purdue does a really great job of, like, if you're not necessarily into the frats or sororities or going to parties, there's a lot of other activities through, like, clubs and stuff that you can join. But also there's always something else going on. And, like, I think Molly was saying, there's a lot of clubs that do things too, and it's not just from the frats and sororities.
Yeah, so I'm in Maddie's boat where Baylor is a dry campus. That said, there is still, I think about half the schools involved with fraternity sorority stuff just because it is a school in the South and that's kind of a big thing down there. There's plenty of party scene going on, but once again, I don't participate in that, and like it's very easy to just not participate in that. Like I have friends who that's what they go out and do every weekend, but you can also get involved with other organizations that maybe would go camping on the weekends, or you get involved with church or any other organization.
Fraternity life's pretty big. At Boulder, I think there are like 31 fraternities, around 25 sororities. If you are involved, be ready for your weekend to start on Thursday, so get all your stuff done. That's like actually serious. Like there will be stuff going on from Thursday up until Saturday. So if you want to be involved, get your stuff done. I know me and a lot of my friends there, everyone got pretty good at, managing the week. But if you're not involved, like you can totally just like leave Boulder and go up camping or go rock climbing or just hang out and do whatever. Like you're really not pressured to do anything. There's also like tons of stuff to do. So yeah.
I'm going to combine two questions here. One question is I'm a junior. what advice do you have for me about beginning my college search? And here's a different question. Was there one or two things that helped you choose the college that you're attending? So panelists, do you have any advice to students in the room who are juniors? And then if you can share with us if there was something in particular that helped you pick the college or university that you're attending. We'll go to Bo.
I would say junior year is just big in general. It's like probably your hardest year of high school, depending on the classes you're taking. So I think just really, I don't know, I really just focused on that my junior year, for academics at least, but at least start to get an idea of like what you actually like want to do at your college, like not academics wise, like where do you want to be? I would say that was like a big question for me, just like what things I was considering, like whether or not I wanted to be able to be outdoors all the time, or I don't know, just like, I mean, it sounds like kind of cliche, but like being able to party and like have fun with my friends were also a big thing I was considering.
So I'm in the boat where a lot of my college decision was based on how good the program, in my case, for biochemistry was, and that certainly narrowed down my search. So if you really know what you want to do with like the rest of your life per se, or what you want to major in, that'll certainly help narrow down your search. But location also another big factor. I wanted to be somewhat near family, but I wanted to get out of the cold of the Midwest, hence Texas. But I think another thing is I picked the school I went to based on their values and who I per se wanted to be in the future. Like I didn't necessarily want a bigger school because I wanted a really strong sense of community, and that's how I chose my school.
I chose my school because I was basically only looking at Big Ten schools, and I knew that I wanted to do engineering, and so Purdue was a good option for that. And I wanted to go out of Minnesota, but not like too far away, so I can still drive there, but it's not super close either.
I would say one tip to think about is if you want to be in-state or out-of-state, because it makes a big difference. And one of the reasons why I chose my school is just the sense of community it had and all the people I met there I really enjoyed.
My advice to juniors right now would be you don't have to worry too much about knowing exactly what you want to do right now. There are plenty of options. There are plenty of options for careers. There are plenty of options for colleges. Just start thinking about what you enjoy doing and how you can apply that to where you want to go to college.
I would just say start doing your research now about colleges, and then start taking some like different tours just so you can see the campus and see how it is there. I would say I had a pretty easy decision for Iowa State because my grandparents went there and live in Ames, so I've been going there for a long time.
I think my biggest advice is just chill out. It's going to be okay. It's really, really stressful. My mental health went horribly my first semester of senior year, so please know it's going to be okay no matter what. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. That being said, I knew I wanted a small town. I don't like cities, so I looked at small towns. And I also, when you're doing college tours, it sounds stupid, but pretend to be a student. Because if you kind of try to interact with people there, see what they're like, are they friendly, are they not? I knew I wanted to go to Dartmouth when I was in the library. It was like 9 o'clock on a Thursday, and they started singing Happy Birthday to Kim Kardashian. And it was weird, and I loved it, and I was like, I want this. And so just kind of try to act like a student, see what it's like.
I think my advice to juniors is kind of echoing everyone else. The college search process is really stressful. I know for me it was really stressful. And I didn't decide until like almost the decision day, May. So it was pretty late. So I was definitely stressed out over spring break, which I do not recommend. But I definitely think, I think remember that wherever you end up is where you're meant to end up. And like it's going to work out okay. I think it's very rare that there's a case where it doesn't work out all right. I think if you just trust your instincts and kind of go with your gut and find somewhere where you think you can visualize yourself being and see yourself being there, like that's the best advice.
Hey, listen, how about a round of applause for our panelists here, okay? They've agreed to be available for autographs, those of you who want to come up. Thank you so much, everyone.